It is Monday, June 21. Welcome to CGN News. A probe has been launched following the discovery of 10 Haitian children in a hotel room in Guyana. An official statement said the children, 5 boys and 5 girls, did not have passports or any form of identification. One child told police they were taken to Guyana from Suriname by speedboat and were dropped off at the hotel on June 14. They also told police that the person who carried them there took their passports and all personal belongings. Officials say there is a huge trafficking network in persons, including children, taking place in the region, and Guyana is being used as a transit point in this racket. The statement added that the governments of Brazil and Suriname have expressed concern over the situation. Jamaica's Child Protection and Family Services Agency, CPFSA, has located 2 boys seen in a recent viral video smoking what appeared to be marijuana. In a statement on Sunday, the CPFSA said a team visited the community where an assessment was conducted with the children and their families. CEO of CPFSA, Rosalie Gage-Gray, said the agency is concerned about the increased reports of incidents where children are being exposed to moral danger. She added that one of the concerns is the early exposure to substance abuse. Gage-Gray thanked the public, whose assistance, she said, was instrumental in locating the boys. There were reports of chaotic scenes at some COVID-19 vaccination centers in Jamaica last weekend. Persons who turned up to receive their second shot were turned away as there were no doses. Opposition leader Mark Golding described the chaos at several vaccination sites as a fiasco. Persons also complained about the long wait for their jab. As vaccine supplies dwindled, the health ministry has delayed giving second doses to people below the age of 50. Many under 50s had received their first dose of the AstraZeneca vaccine in April, and some were scheduled to get their second doses last weekend. The ministry says the delay in vaccinating people below age 50 could affect about 30,000 people. St. Kitts and Nevis has recorded its first COVID-19 death more than a year after the pandemic began. This was revealed on Friday by Minister of Health Akila Byron Nisbet. Byron Nisbet reminded the nation that the vaccine prevents people from getting seriously ill and dying from COVID-19. She added that there has been 28 positive tests within a 12-hour period, with 26 in prison and 2 in the general population. Prime Minister Timothy Harris expressed condolences on behalf of the government and people of St. Kitts and Nevis to the family and loved ones of the deceased. Dr. Harris also stressed the importance of being vaccinated against the disease. Prime Minister of Barbados, Mia Mottley, says plans are in place for the country to start reopening from June 30. Addressing the media on Saturday, Mottley said the curfew will be removed completely, but the island is not yet ready for mass events. She said the annual Crop Over Festival will not be held, the CMC has reported. Mottley said other events will be permitted and parties are limited to 150 people in any single location. In terms of the tourism industry, Mottley announced that Barbados will create a bubble for fully vaccinated incoming passengers from low-risk Caribbean countries, and that those with a negative PCR test can immediately enter from June 30. Prime Minister of Trinidad, Dr. Keith Rowley, says there are plans for a phased reopening of the borders by the second week of July. The island is also looking at relaxing some of the measures in place to curb the spread of the pandemic. Rowley unveiled plans for the possible scheduled reopening of the borders to allow for flights in and out of Piarco International Airport, which has been closed to scheduled traffic since March last year. Prime Minister of St. Vincent, Dr. Ralph Gonsalves, says the impact of the pandemic and the eruption of the La Soufrière volcano on the island's education system will only be felt in 10 years. Gonsalves says it is important that students return to the classroom as soon as possible, noting that by the middle of this century, most of the national's 40-year-olds will be significantly affected by what is taking place today. Face-to-face classes in St. Vincent and the Grenadines are yet to resume as a spike in cases forced the closure of school after the Christmas break. Students were scheduled to return to the classroom on April 12, but the eruption of the volcano placed that on hold. Many schools were used as emergency shelters. Britain's travel industry is planning a day of action on Wednesday to pressure the government to ease restrictions with just weeks to go before the start of the peak summer season. Travel companies are desperate to avoid another summer loss to COVID-19, but Britain is maintaining strict quarantine requirements. Europe's biggest airline, Ryanair, and Manchester Airports Group last Thursday launched legal action to get the government to ease the rules before the industry's most profitable season starts. On Wednesday, pilots, cabin crew and travel agents will gather in central London and at airports across Britain to drum up support. Over 45,000 jobs have already been lost in UK aviation, with an estimated 860,000 aviation, travel and tourism jobs being sustained only by government furlough schemes. A member of Uganda's Olympic squad is the first to test positive for COVID-19 on arrival in Japan for the Games due to start July 23. The event was postponed last year but is now going ahead despite a fresh wave of COVID-19 cases in Japan. The unnamed Ugandan was part of a 9-member squad who had all been fully vaccinated, reports said. The group had also tested negative before leaving Uganda. However, the squad member tested positive on arrival at Tokyo's Narita airport on Saturday. He was quarantined at a government facility while the others left for Osaka, where they will train ahead of the Games. And finally, New Zealand's Laurel Hubbard, formerly known as Gavin Hubbard, is the first transgender athlete picked to compete at an Olympics in a controversial decision. The 43-year-old Hubbard was selected for the women's weightlifting team for Tokyo 2020 after rules were modified. Hubbard had competed in men's events before coming out as transgender in 2013. Critics say Hubbard has an unfair advantage, but others have argued for more inclusion at the Games. Hubbard's participation in previous competitions had sparked controversy in the past. In 2019, Hubbard won gold at the Pacific Games in Samoa, beating an athlete from the host nation. Samoa's weightlifting boss says Hubbard's selection for Tokyo was like allowing athletes to dope. Save Women's Sport Australasia, an advocacy group for women athletes, criticized Hubbard's selection. Quote, "It is flawed policy from the IOC that has allowed the selection of a 43-year-old biological male who identifies as a woman to compete in the female category," end quote, the group said in a statement. That's it for CGN News. I'm Scott Wilson. Thanks for watching.